Dr. C.S. Wilson. Not related, clearly. How are you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm doing just fine. How about yourself, man? I'm so happy. I'm excited, enthusiastic. I'm elated to be here with you on the podcast.
Awesome. Look, you have had quite an experience, and one that a lot of people would not believe is even possible. So I'm really keen for you to share what happened in your life to let people know what goes on in the world.
Sure, yeah. So I'm right here in North Carolina. I was born in Virginia in the United States of America. And at 17 years old, I was at the scene of a crime where a guy's life was taken. So a guy was shot, single wound to the chest. And I didn't do it, didn't see the guy. I can't say I'm 100% sure who done it. But I was 17 years old. I was going to be sentenced to 88 years with 58 suspended. That's an active sentence of 30 years plus life on parole. So I was sentenced to more time in prison than I would be on earth, than I had been on earth at the time, excuse me. And yeah, just kind of like shaped my life. So it was actually 3 weeks before my 18th birthday and approximately 3 weeks before my high school graduation. Yeah.
This is astonishing. This is just shocking. I mean, realizing you were a teenager, you were a kid, and you just happened to be in that space when it happened.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I have an honor. I speak at a few schools and churches and stuff like that, and that's kind of what I tell people. You kind of gotta like know your environment, know who you with, know who you're around. Because at the end of the day, humans are responsible for carrying out justice. So the system sometimes works. It's just people are flawed, and people are flawed all around the world. So it's like you got people with important jobs and a lazy day on the job, you misinterpret information or someone looks like someone else to you, and then a kid loses his life, and so it's a sad story in that regard, but yeah, it didn't end there, so I would go on to, be in prison, and then I did approximately 17 years, 11 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. I filed every petition for clemency, writ of mandamus, writ of actual innocence, um, Virginia Supreme Court, the United States of America Supreme Court, and I found no relief. But I actually had an affidavit saying I didn't do it. So it was Governor Ralph Northam in Virginia, who was the highest seat in the land at the time. He signed an executive order to release me from prison. Yeah, so I was executively pardoned in light of my affidavit stating my innocence, after doing almost 18 years, yeah,
Nearly 18 years. So
yeah,
that's a lot of your adulthood that you
man,
spent in that place.
yeah, absolutely, so I'm only 41 now, so I've actually spent more time in prison as a man than I have as a man in society. Yeah, so it's like, people get it wrong, and then I happen to be the face of one that, when justice goes wrong. So, but I'm not bitter. I travel a little bit and tell that it's kind of like beneath me to be. That's the power of human potential. That what's inside you won't let what's around you stay the same. So I didn't think that something like that could happen to me. So I just always kind of believed, that I would be getting out. That's why I'm doing a TED talk. We're recording it later this year, but it's on the butterfly effect. So the title of it is, "Does the caterpillar exist?" The inevitability of the butterfly, because the caterpillar is just a stage in the life of the butterfly. And if you believe things will change, you just focus on that and believe that it'll happen for you. And that's kind of what happened to me. So I had different lawyers to file petitions, and the petition for clemency that the governor actually signed. I actually filed that myself. So in prisons here in Virginia, they got what's called law libraries. I went in there and filed it myself, because it was inevitable. You don't judge a book by its cover, and then you don't know how a story is going to end. So it looked like I was a caterpillar. It looked like nothing beautiful would come out of my life. And that's a message for a lot of people that, it's kind of don't judge and don't close the book too soon. You keep going. And you're building resilience. You're building what you'll need for the next season of your life to prepare. So it's kind of that perspective that I had. That's what kept me sane in there in a place that, prisons are built for a reason. So like I was raised around these people, murderers and thieves and rapists. So they should be in this place. And I just wasn't supposed to be. But the guards doesn't know you're not supposed to be. So you get treated as them. You eat the same food as them. You get the same verbal treatment as them. And so you just gotta believe that your life is gonna turn out. And then decisions follow from that place. So if you refuse to let bitterness take root, you just continue to believe, then life changes for you. It's like how the world is designed. It works that way that justice will prevail in some way or another. Yeah, you just gotta like refuse to think anything otherwise. So it's like in that place, you need hope. And it's hope that continues to shape and bring the future closer, so that the time there would be up. Yeah.
The thing that stands out to me is that you were surrounded by people who perceived you a particular way and you didn't let it shape your perspective of yourself. You still knew who you were. How did you maintain that perspective? How did you keep that belief?
Yeah, so I'm a licensed minister. I actually attribute it to God. It's like you gotta believe in something that you can't see because in the natural, I had done all I could do. Like the help of man was useless for me. So in that place, I actually earned my doctorate. So earned my doctorate in theology. So it was kind of like I kind of got it that I was going to need help outside of myself. That people didn't believe me. So in there, you're a number. You're not even a human. I was 10, 39, 28, 1. And maximum security prisons. They had actually given that production was going in for the movie of my life. The years they couldn't take. And, cause it's almost kinda, like, hard to believe, you don't I remember we was in North Carolina, I was speaking, they brought some kids in. I like to tell my story in the third person for those who hadn't heard me before, don't know the story, and I remember at the end, I said, "Hey, that young man is me." And a little kid in the back said, "No, no, that ain't him, he's lying," like, it's hard to believe, if you don't because the smell of smoke isn't on me, I have the honor of got my own little tech company and I just kind of work from home. Like life is good now, so it's like the narrative has been turned, the inevitability of the butterfly is real. Yeah.
That's amazing. You mentioned a tech company. Let's flick to that before flicking back to your story because there's so much to unpack here. How did you leap from being in prison to being a minister to having a tech company?
Yeah, so I was just kind of like a couple nights ago I was up reading the script of the movie that's gonna be produced of my life. And when I was in 10th grade, I actually got the highest on my geometry SOL. And it's kind of like I recognize shapes and patterns, so the world makes sense to me in that regard. I never did homework in school. I was just competent, and I was a natural leader. So in going to prison, it was like purpose would be, delayed, but purpose knows no postponement. And so when I actually get out of prison, I learned business inside of that place. And then when I got here, the numbers was like, oh wait, if you're gonna do business, this is the future. The technology is moving here. So our first app is actually going to be Turtle Pay, Buy Fast, Pay Slow, and it's in the buy now, pay later space. And so we able to help, low income. We'll be in more countries than America soon. It's like humbling to be a part of that because numbers make sense to me. And seeing where this is going, people buy more when it's, that affirm type of payment. So it's just like that makes sense to me. That's like fail safe. So it's in me to be an entrepreneur. It was in me to succeed, and prison couldn't take that out of me. It's just like a dark chapter. I describe prison as like the Walking Dead. Y'all you seen the Walking Dead in Australia? They say that. So it's just like the Walking Dead. It's kind of like you're numb to the pain of that place. Like it doesn't feel good, but there's nothing you can do to alleviate yourself from it, nothing but freedom itches that, scratches that itch, yeah.
Freedom is what eases everything. So you were able to study a lot when you were over there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had time to, and I just it's the resolve, in America, only 50% of the people in prison can actually read, so it's kinda, you take advantage of what you're able to have, yeah, so I've ordered books. I used to read a book a week. I was ordering books every month from, publishers and approved vendors, because it was like, I just to travel there is to do it in your mind, to acquire information there, you can't apply it all. So you free yourself through reading, before you can actually be free. Yeah.
Absolutely. You read a lot. Okay. And the apps, I'm curious. You'd be clearly saying that it's easier now to get an app made than a few years ago. What has been your experience with the technology side, AI, all of that?
Yeah, so that's an amazing question. I don't think I've had that one before, but AI has definitely changed the game. The speed at which a website can be done, the speed at which simple applications can be done, it's definitely a horse of a different color. It's changing every day, So it's kind of like exciting to be on this side. I was in Dubai in November, gonna go back next month and just, meeting with these different minds. We actually established a company over there. So we got a registered company, sister company in Dubai. Yeah. So it's kind of like, um, technology can take you where other things can't. It's just like it's just AI is going to be in everything. Like the utilization of it is what makes things efficiently done. And so pretty soon everyone it'll be the norm, just like the internet. Everyone will be using it every day. It'll be a part of everyday lives. And people on the front end of there's money to be made, and others will just be arguing about it. Yeah.
So is the AI simply intertwined into the work you do?
Yeah, correct. So even my day-to-day life, my little AI subscriptions helps me be efficient with note taking, and I'm sure, utilizing the different platforms, content creation. So yeah.
Absolutely. Even the platform that I use for the podcast makes life so much easier and it saves a lot of time. So, what sorts of tools, for 1 second before we get back to the big questions, which tools help your everyday life and your work?
Sure. So my Chat GBT Plus account, they ain't paying me to say this, but it's kind of popular here in America. So, they incorporate Canva, so with picture and video creation, PowerPoint creation, everything. It's just a matter of having the right prompts to utilize. Is it big in Sydney too?
Yes, a bit. I think
Okay.
people are getting into AI a bit more now. So it's getting there, but I think there's quite a following because I've been following people who are in America and Canadians, and I'm just seeing people overseas who are using Chat GPT in particular and
Yeah.
other tools.
Yeah.
And so I'm experiencing the difference. And I found at least a subculture, if nothing else, a subculture in
Hmm.
Sydney where some people are delving deeper than simply getting AI to perhaps write their social media posts. I think a lot of
Right.
people get AI to just write something for them, write some content, but
Hmm.
even in terms of calendar management, I think a lot of people don't realize what it can do for that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's 100% a part of the culture here. Like my little nieces in school, they had to ban the utilization of it because they was just getting it to write the papers and stuff. So it's kind of like kids see they can do stuff with a touch of a button, and so it kind of like filtered down and watered down the education because now these kids aren't applying themselves because hit a button and Chat GBT writing papers for them. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on from the tools though, what made you decide to focus on tech and apps now? Because you were also looking at theology a while ago. What made you go from one to the other?
Sure. So I would say theology by calling, but tech by occupation. So it's kind of the gifts and calls, I believe, without repentance. Like whatever you're called to do, you do that to the grave. It's just a matter of what you'll do it from. You know, some people are in pulpits, some people in the marketplace. You know, so it's just you take your belief system. If you believe you can enrich lives, you do that with whatever you have your hands to. So it's kind of like the both. And so remember when I was saying I did good in geometry, like numbers make sense to me. They have no opinion. And so those in this field, and you do things a certain way, then it brings, I mean, I believe in generational wealth. So it's, you know, I'm trying to ascertain that and move in that manner. Yeah.
Okay, here's a question about that. I've known so many people who had what I call a math brain, be it engineering or economics, something else, and they are very interested in theology. How and why do people who are very technical and mathematical and factual still end up with a very spiritual side?
Wow, that's a really great question. Of course, I would I would have to answer that from my theological side, but I believe it's because I think the creator can be proven, and the same way that I believe a painting is proof of a painter, a building is proof of a builder. These things are systematically done, and I believe creation is proof of a creator, and the numbers bear it out as far as like the earth on its, you know, axis. And if it were just slightly closer to the sun, we burn up. If it was any further away, you know, we would freeze, and then we wouldn't have the seasons if it didn't rotate, you know, to have the 24-hour period days. It's like this, the fine tuning of the universe absolutely involves math. And those that can see that, I don't think you gotta be a genius to see it, but it's like you get so close, it's usually 2 things. It's usually like so hard to believe that you go the other route, so it's like a line in the sand, but usually those that get close enough to see the numbers, it's like, yeah, this kinda makes sense that, the creator has built himself into this thing, like, it's everything points to him.
So you can see that there has to be a bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah.
That brings us back to where you started in your adulthood, because are you seeing some sort of bigger picture that brought purpose and meaning into where you ended up?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's kinda like it's so bad what happened to me. I just don't wear it on my sleeves, but it's like it's almost unthinkable. And so when you talking about purpose, like I believe in being purpose driven and having an assignment. So the story I was featured on the 700 Club, TPN featured this particular part of my story as well, but it was November 19, 2019. I was praying. I believe I heard 2 words, one name, Birdie Jameson. Well, Birdie Jameson was a retired judge in Richmond, Virginia. During the time I had a petition for clemency, and the only person that could release me was Governor Ralph Northam. So I had a petition in since 2015. I didn't even think they was looking at these things. Less than 2% of them get any investigation at all. So I heard his name, Bird Jameson. I go and get on the phone. I call my mother. I said, "Mom, I don't know what it is. I think it's God, but I think you should reach out to Brady Jameson. I just want to see if she knows anyone in the governor's office." So my mother began to text me. She told me that I didn't know at the time. She hadn't talked to Brady Jameson in over 12 months. It was over a calendar year the last time she even spoke with her. So my mother texted her while we was on the phone. 30 minutes later, she called my mother. She said, "Miss Terry, what made you call me then? It must have been God. When you text me, I was sitting in front of the governor, and the governor said, if what you said is true, we'll investigate those claims and we'll get Christopher out of there." That was November 2019. On April 2020, I was released, pardoned by Governor Ralph Norman.
Goodness. So your mom calls someone when that person is
Text her,
talking with a governor
sitting in
right
front of him.
at the moment when magic can happen.
Absolutely. Bigger than me. Yeah, I gotta believe in God. I'm here because of that encounter. I believe I heard her name. I tell my mom, she texts. She just so happened to be sitting in front of the governor. We didn't know if she knew the governor. Yeah,
Well, that right there, I think, is the magic story because I think most people have a moment eventually where things just line up. Sometimes that
yeah.
doesn't mean it started off you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, but then something lined up. And do you think other people need to look out for those little moments of intuition, that thought of I need to just follow this path. I don't know quite where it's leading, but I think this can get sorted out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. I would say that you just gotta kind of follow because life can drown out inner awareness and inner impressions. So it's kind of like you got to get quiet enough to be led. And if you believe something's bigger than you out there, then it can get you to the life that you always was destined to have. Yeah.
Right, right. So you need to believe in something greater than yourself. What were your first steps when you got your freedom back? How did you figure out how you were going to get back on your feet? How did you figure out how to connect with the world and community? What did you do next?
Yeah, great question. So I just remember one thing in particular, like when I got out and there was no such thing as a smartphone when I was incarcerated, May the 16th, 2002. We wanted our phones to be as small as it could be. Yeah, 2002. And then when I was released, April 2020, you wanted the phone as big as it could be. You want a smartphone big as you can get it. So life was radically and drastically different. And I think it was that gap in my life that kind of highlighted, wait, this is if you go in this field, things make sense. So business was always going to be the avenue. I kind of like got it, being an entrepreneur. It was just a matter of what. And so again, my relationship with God was that guiding light. And so being in this field is humbling. I kind of like what I do, yeah. So it was just kind of like what was built in me there, those seasons of quietness. And that's why I wrote my first book. And I was laughing because in the script, I told the story of how I was in prison and TBN, the largest Christian network in the world. I remember being on the phone with him, like, and because my sister, who was my secretary at the time, by name, that they was like the publisher come to me and said, "Yeah, we'll talk to Dr. Wilson. We want to talk to him." And they was trying to set up a time. She was like, "Okay, well, I have Dr. Wilson call you at that time." And so I called her, and then we called the publishing company on three-way. And you got to do it within 15 minutes, 14 minutes rather, before the operator said you got 60 seconds left. And so I was able to close the deal from prison. So as soon as I got out, I was on the path of having my book published by the Trinity Broadcasting Network. Yeah, via the phone in prison.
Part of finding your freedom and your voice is you dove in with a book. It's amazing to realize I think you are a lot more fearless than a lot of people who haven't gone through that. I'm wondering if perhaps we create our own limitations because you had almost all the limitations in the world. You were literally confined, and yet other
Yeah,
people they have all these doubts about why they shouldn't do something.
yeah, I think that's so true. So life is tough. It's kind of like it comes with it, but again, it goes to like the inevitability of the butterflies. Like these seasons toughen you up. So the cocoon is necessary because wings are being built. So when you're in the cocoon, the strength that's built, the inner fortitude, the fearlessness that you would mention, that like this is needed and it's built in these seasons when it looks like it's dark, when it looks like God isn't there. I mean, it's those times that your wings are actually being formed.
When it looks like there is nothing, that's actually when you are growing and building. So are you saying there's sort of a hibernation? Is it that it's okay to have a moment of hibernating away and rebuilding yourself up to get stronger?
Absolutely. I would say it's the greatest thing you can do is to level things, to get back centered, as it were, and grounded, So everyone needs a reset. It's a perspective gaining. When a rocket ship goes to the moon, it's not a straight shot. It's perpetual changes. It's constant course correction. So it's that perpetual introspection to say, okay, we're going to the moon, but we gotta keep getting these degrees right. We gotta keep changing. So we gotta constantly look at ourselves to ensure we're on the right path. Yeah.
Right. It has course correction. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
So we're not on a
You learn a
straight
lot
path.
of things when you're in prison, Melanie.
You had time to read a lot.
I had a lot of time. Yeah.
During COVID, I learned everything about food because I was in my own little bubble and there wasn't much else to do. So, if anyone has a quiet phase for whatever reason, use the time to learn.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that is so like translucent. You see it all in there. It's like the place where crime is the worst are neighborhoods. You go through a bad neighborhood. What I mean by bad neighborhood is like a neighborhood with low income, low credit scores. These places are noisy. Nothing wrong with kids playing and stuff, but you go to a different neighborhood, like it's built for quietness. 'Cause you got to be able to think. It's not a lot of loud noise playing. Yeah, what is
Right. So, do you mean things like the physical noise and the surroundings?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Because honestly, personally, I was feeling a bit gaslit when I was in a space that was near a major road and I
Mhm.
basically was always around noise. You're getting where I'm coming from because then in the peaceful, quiet spaces, you can hear yourself think more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the place of creativity. That's where it comes from. The mind has the neurons got to connect, so you need that quietness as an incubator, to put it together. So babies are born and the stillness of the womb, that's the origin of life. Yeah.
So, if you talk with people who are in a city, do you think it's good for them to get at least a moment out of the city or somewhere peaceful and quiet instead of always being around the rush and the noise?
Yeah, I absolutely recommend it. And most people that I know, they make it their business to, steal away, to get away, or create that quietness within the city, so creativity can be birthed. Hmm.
I think that could be why the mindfulness physical spaces are so popular now because where
Yeah,
I can go to a quiet room and just gather your thoughts for a moment.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Great point.
So
Mm.
looking forward and looking ahead, what what is your message for everybody for the future? Because I was checking on that a bit before we started recording. I'm wondering, what do you wish everybody would be doing more to help themselves or the world?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great question. I would answer that like this. So my first book is called Your Piece of the Pie: How to Operate at Greatness. And essentially, the book is about making optimal decisions. So optimal decisions bear the most favorable, advantageous fruit. So it ensures that the maximum amount of people are benefited and the least amount of people are sorrowed. So we don't have to be smart as Bill Gates, or we just got to make optimal decisions like wealthy people. So more people in the world, the correctional officers, the police officers, those in government, if they make optimal decisions that take into effect the maximum amount of people to be benefited and the least amount of people in sorrow. Like our world would be a better place, but it requires a systematic change in a framework to make these optimal decisions. And they are to be made from the perspective that you're gonna win, you don't lose, that human good will prevail. And so if there was one message to humankind is like if that mindset prevailed every area of life, it's like, well, let's make optimal decisions. So this could help more people. then it's like, hey, you could cure the world. Like world hunger wouldn't be a thing. There's enough businesses and nonprofits. They throw away enough food to feed people, but because of regulations, you can't. That's just a matter of someone say, hey, let's make a business. We'll have this nonprofit. They sign the waiver. They can have the food. Yeah, world
If
hunger
you
cured.
can believe it, I had an idea about an app for food a few years ago, and after a few people turned it down, I just gave up. But you are bringing up food, and I
Mm,
think that's such a crucial issue because people need dollars, sure, but food is a lot more abundant than we realize because of the issue you are talking about. So much
yeah.
of it is thrown away. There is extra and it is available. So, do you think that food is one of the top issues we need to sort out? I mean, you've seen disadvantaged areas, you've talked with communities. I'm wondering, what do you think people need right now?
Yeah, no, that's definitely on the list. It's part of a old philosophical view. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of need, but there's no self-actualization until basic needs are met. Food, shelter, clothing, and without these things, like kids can't learn in school, they can't be the best expression of themselves without being fed. Yeah, it's a real problem in the world.
Okay, I feel really inspired by what you were saying to get those things sorted out for more people. I'm wondering, what other things do you think people need? Especially, do you talk with young people or people of any background, professionals? What do you find is missing? Are people not getting creative? Are people needing to be more entrepreneurial, or do they need to teach themselves more and continue learning?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would go back to the optimal decision. So it's being aware of how you're made and then how that'll be expressed to the world around you. So if you are entrepreneur, you stir that up on the inside, but everybody doesn't want to manage. Everybody doesn't want to lead. Some people just want to be in the kitchen cooking the soup. So it's like you had that, and someone wants to build a kitchen for the soup to be cooked in. And so I fell on that side. So I just kind of see, because I believe you can help more people, but whatever it is that we can do, we want to do it, and we want to do it optimally, so the max amount of people benefited and the least amount of people sorrow. Yeah,
Focus on how you are made. I hope we
yeah.
can translate that to those who believe in something, don't believe in something, wherever their beliefs may be. I hope we can all know that we are built a particular way. Have you found
Yeah.
that everybody has an instinct to know that they are wired a particular way, or however it might be worded?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, being able to get quiet enough to be aware of how you're actually wired, and not how you're conditioned to be. So remember, we alluded to life being hard, and in prison, you see a lot of guys who come in one way, they leave another way. It's because of how they were conditioned to be while they were in there, on guard. And they call it being institutionalized. So a lot of guys haven't gone through that much time. They actually get what they call social security in America because they feel like mentally they just can't adjust. They can't, cope with living outside of that place, having been dependent on others for the meals and provision and shelter for so many years. It's kind of like you don't adjust properly, but it's because of how they've been conditioned. So that place that it translates that, hey, if you don't get quiet and see, what's in you, what can you actually do, what skill set needs to be sharpened, then you don't grow and you don't help as many people as you can. Yeah.
The difference you had that others didn't, it's that you knew your strengths. And are you saying that people anywhere need to simply see their strengths, look within and see what they can do and value it?
Absolutely. That's step one anyway, to see what it is that you bring to the table to whatever that is, whether it's a relationship, your job, and then it's your responsibility to sharpen the axe. Yeah.
Okay, sharpen the axe. What does that mean for you?
So it's, whatever skill set it is, you make it better. So You read the books on that subject, or you take the class, you get a mentor, you study behind, you over here is real big. We watch YouTube a lot. You watch the YouTube videos and you move in that direction. Yeah,
Absolutely. The videos, the books, whatever works, but keep learning. So it seems like
absolutely.
the lesson here is the lifelong learning. We are busting the stereotype of the conditioning actually, where a lot of people were told just go to school, then college, university, which I think is drifting a bit now, but do that and then just do a job. And these days, though, do you think people are becoming more aware that we need to continue teaching ourselves throughout our entire lives?
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. It's so learning now is more circular than linear from, the years past model, because the world is like fast paced and moving. Like if people don't utilize AI and know anything about it, then they'll kind of be behind. Yeah. So you're gonna have to learn new stuff. Yeah,
Totally, totally. We have to learn even because of where technology is going.
absolutely.
Where can people learn more about what you do?
Sure, yeah. So I'm DRCS Wilson. That's all my social media tags, LinkedIn, was it Facebook, Instagram. My personal website is www.drcswilson.com. And so just kind of, doing my part to help as many people as possible. Yeah.
As many people as possible. And you mentioned you're going to do a TED Talk.
Yeah, yeah, that's exciting. That's something to, been where I've been, and now to be, TEDx, that's the biggest stage in the world. So that's really humbling. Yeah.
It is. Are you looking forward to talking to more groups and audiences anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. You just put it together and I'm gonna come to Sydney and you talk to them out there. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll send you something later. I mean, considering you have that theology and the tech, you have everything going on. This is going to be mad fun. I feel like I've learned a bit of everything from you, and I'm so grateful for your
Anytime.
time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I thank you. I think you're doing a great job. It's been a great interview, and I know your listeners are being enriched. Keep it up. Do 100 more episodes.
Thank you so much.